The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber sparkled as the light of 3 suns filtered through its faceted surface. Inside, representatives from 27 advanced species sat in curved rows that rose like steps toward the ceiling. The air smelled of various alien scents, some sweet, some sharp, some impossible for a human nose to detect. Ambassador Zax Trill of the Viridian Collective stood up, his blue scales shimmering with concern. His long fingers tapped nervously on the speaking podium. "Esteemed council members, I bring troubling news," he said. His translator device converted his clicks and whistles into the standard galactic language. All communication with Earth has ceased. The human homeworld has gone silent. A wave of murmurs swept through the chamber. Earth had been a council member for only 30 years, a mere moment compared to the 1,000-year memberships of most species. Grand Minister Elorix, the octopus-like chairperson of the council, raised 3 of her tentacles to call for order. When did this silence begin? "Precisely 7 galactic standard days ago," replied Zax Trill. "At first, we believed it might be a technical issue. However, all our attempts to re-establish contact have failed." Everyone in the chamber looked at the empty seat where John Carter, Earth's ambassador, should have been sitting. His absence at such an important quarterly meeting was unusual. "Has anyone spoken with Ambassador Carter?" asked Elorix. Councillor Quarteth, a gas-based entity contained in a hovering mechanical suit, drifted forward. "The human embassy on Central Station is locked. His personal communication device is not responding. We have tried reaching all known human diplomatic channels. Nothing." The council chamber grew tense. Humans were new to the galactic community, but they had quickly made themselves essential. Their unique way of thinking had solved problems that had stumped other species for centuries. Their trade networks had become vital for many economies. Their absence was already being felt. "Could this be the beginning of something worse?" asked Quarteth, the fear evident in his vibrating voice. "I have always said humans advance too quickly. Perhaps this is the start of a rebellion." Minister Elorix's skin changed from blue to a concerned purple. "Let us not jump to conclusions. We must investigate before we assume the worst." She tapped a command into her console. A holographic map of the galaxy appeared in the center of the chamber, with the Sol system highlighted. "I am dispatching immediate probe ships to Earth's system," she announced. "We need information before we can act." Councillor Morax, a furred creature with 6 eyes, stood up. "We should remember how the humans joined us. Just 50 Earth years ago, they were confined to their own planet. Then suddenly, they created faster-than-light travel. No other species has made such a leap so quickly." Many in the chamber nodded in agreement. The humans' rapid rise from planetary civilization to galactic player had been unprecedented. Some found it inspiring. Others found it terrifying. Ambassador Krillix of the Thandorian Empire slammed his armored fist on his desk. "We should send warships, not probes. The humans could be planning an attack." "Peace, Krillix," said Elorix. "Humanity has been a valuable ally. They have shared their art, their science, their friendship. We owe them the benefit of doubt." The debate continued for hours. By the end, the council had decided to send both probe ships and a message drone. If humans were in trouble, the council would offer help. If they were planning something hostile, the council needed to know. As the meeting ended, Zax Trill approached Elorix privately. "There is something else, Minister. Our long-range sensors detect unusual energy patterns around their planet. Whatever the humans are doing, it requires enormous power." Elorix's skin darkened with worry. "Let us hope our friends on Earth have not bitten off more than they can chew. The galaxy would be poorer without them." The probes launched that day, speeding toward the Sol system, carrying the collective anxiety of 27 species. The silence of Earth had become the loudest sound in the galaxy. 3 days later, the Council probe ships reached the edge of the Sol system. Their reports sent a new wave of concern through the Galactic Council. "All relay stations are inactive," reported Captain Zorn of the lead probe ship. His reptilian face appeared on the main screen in the council chamber. We detect no outgoing signals from any human installations. Grand Minister Ilorix leaned forward. Can you proceed closer to Earth? Negative, Minister. When we attempted to pass Jupiter, automated defense systems activated. They did not fire upon us, but they broadcast a clear message to turn back. The message was in standard galactic code, but contained no explanation. The council members exchanged worried glances. Earth had never before closed its borders. What about the human outposts on Mars and the moons of Jupiter? Asked Councillor Cortef. All appear operational but unresponsive to communication attempts, replied Captain Zorn. We have observed increased activity around both planets. New structures are being built at an incredible pace. Ambassador Krillex stood up, his armor clanking. This confirms my fears. The humans are preparing for war. Before the chamber could erupt into panic, the doors slid open. A human woman was escorted in by council security. She looked tired and confused. This is Lisa Martinez, announced the security chief. She is a human trader who was at Proxima Station when the silence began. She cannot return home and has agreed to answer questions. Lisa stepped forward nervously. She was shorter than most aliens in the room, with brown hair tied back and the simple uniform of a merchant ship pilot. I don't understand what's happening any more than you do, she said. I was on a standard trade run when my company sent an odd message ordering all off-world personnel to complete their business and delay return to Earth. Did they explain why? Asked Ilorix. Lisa shook her head. The message just said Protocol Omega was in effect. I don't know what that means. When I tried to call my family on Earth, all channels were dead. And what do you believe Protocol Omega might refer to? Asked Cortef, his gas form swirling faster inside his containment suit. I honestly don't know. I'm just a trader, not military or government. Lisa looked around the room. Have other humans reported anything? Elorix's skin turned a gentle blue to appear less threatening. You are the last human contact we have had in 3 days. All human ships in deep space have changed course away from Council space. All human outposts in neighboring star systems have been evacuated. Lisa's face paled. That's impossible. We have over 50 research stations and colonies, all abandoned within hours of the silence, confirmed Zax Trill. They left behind valuable equipment and research. Whatever called them home was more important. The council chamber fell quiet as everyone processed this information. The silence was broken by reports from the Economic Division. Markets are destabilizing, reported a financial advisor. Human trade represented 15% of galactic commerce. Their absence is causing widespread disruption. Councillor Morax stood. I have reviewed Earth's diplomatic history. Before they joined us, humans had a pattern of isolating themselves before major technological advances. Perhaps this is similar. Or perhaps they found something dangerous, suggested Cortef. Something they wish to keep to themselves. The debate continued until a new report arrived from intelligence sources. Several advanced research projects involving humans had been mysteriously shut down months earlier. And a human scientist named Sam Rogers had disappeared from an alien research station with valuable data. Alorix called for order. We face 3 possibilities. Earth is experiencing a civil conflict. They have suffered a technological catastrophe, or they are preparing for something unprecedented. We must know which. The Council voted to form 3 committees, one to monitor Earth's defenses, one to assess economic impact, and one to prepare a diplomatic mission. As Lisa Martinez was escorted out, she turned back. Please remember, humans value peace. Whatever's happening, I don't believe my people want war. But her words did little to calm the growing fear spreading throughout the room. Beyond the crystal dome, news of Earth's silence was already racing across the galaxy, carried by ships and communication relays to every corner of known space. 2 weeks passed with no word from Earth. The silence grew heavier each day, like a storm cloud spreading across the galaxy. The Galactic Council met daily now, each session more tense than the last. Our military scouts report increased activity around Jupiter and Mars, said Fleet Commander Drez. His hologram flickered slightly as he transmitted from his ship near the edge of the Sol system. New orbital structures appear almost daily. Some are larger than any human construction we have seen before. Grand Minister Elorix nodded her bulbous head. What type of structures? Unclear. They do not match known weapon platforms or defense stations. Some appear to be massive energy collectors. Others might be computation centers. Drez paused. Whatever they are building, they are doing it incredibly fast. The council chamber buzzed with nervous conversation. On the main display, images from long-range scanners showed the moons of Jupiter crawling with activity. Massive frameworks extended into space, glowing with strange energies. Ambassador Zax Trill moved to the central platform. We have more troubling news. Every human outpost in neighboring star systems has now been completely evacuated. They left behind equipment worth billions in galactic credits. They are pulling back to defend Earth, insisted Ambassador Krillix. This is clearly preparation for aggression. A small alien with 6 arms raised several of them at once. The economy cannot bear this disruption much longer. Markets are in free fall without human trade. 3 mining colonies have already declared bankruptcy. The council's attention turned to a new figure entering the chamber, a security officer escorting a nervous-looking alien scientist. This is Professor Yilt of the Centauri Research Institute, Elorix introduced. The professor has important information. The small, gray-skinned scientist adjusted his breathing apparatus before speaking. For the past 5 years, I led a joint research project with humans on quantum communication technology. 3 months ago, without explanation, all human scientists withdrew from the project. They took copies of all research data with them. Did they give any reason? Asked Counselor Quarteth. They cited directive from Earth Central Command, but offered no details, replied Professor Yield. What concerns me is that our project was close to a breakthrough on instantaneous communication across unlimited distances. The very next week, humans withdrew from 7 other advanced research projects across Council space. The implication sent a chill through the chamber. Humans had been gathering their advanced research for months before the silence. There is more, added Zax Trill. A human scientist named Sam Rogers disappeared from the Rigel station 2 months ago. He took highly classified data on space-time manipulation. Security recordings show no forced entry. He simply packed his research and left on a human transport. The council chamber erupted into alarmed conversations. Grand Minister Elorix had to flash her skin bright red 3 times to restore order. We must face facts, said Counselor Morax. Whatever humanity is doing, they planned it well in advance. This was not a sudden decision or reaction to an emergency. An economic advisor stepped forward, a floating being that resembled a glowing jellyfish. Our analysis of human defense capabilities may have been severely underestimated. Records show they consistently understated their military technology in official reports. The council split into loud factions. Some demanded immediate military containment of the Sol system. Others insisted on patience and diplomatic approaches. A few even suggested that humans might be facing extinction and were trying to save themselves from some unknown threat. Amid the chaos, a quiet message arrived for Grand Minister Elorix. She read it, and her skin paled to almost white, a sign of extreme concern among her species. Silence, she commanded, and the room gradually quieted. I have just received word that the human scientist Lisa Martinez spoke of. The diplomatic vessel, Harmony of Stars, gleamed as it prepared to depart from Central Station. Its smooth silver hull reflected the blue and green lights of the docking bay. Inside, a carefully selected team prepared for their journey to Earth. Senior diplomat Tarn of the Eldurian Collective studied the mission briefing on a floating screen. His tall, thin body was wrapped in ceremonial robes that signified peace in 17 different cultures. Sarn had negotiated over 30 major treaties in his 200-year career, but none seemed as important as this mission to Earth. Ambassador, we have confirmed our final crew member, announced his assistant. Greg Peterson walked into the room. He was a human archaeologist who had been working on a dig site in the Orion sector when Earth went silent. He had dark hair, a short beard, and eyes that looked tired from weeks of worry. "Thank you for joining us, Dr. Peterson," said Xarn, extending a four-fingered hand in the human greeting custom. "Your insights will be valuable." Greg shook the alien's hand. "I just want to know what's happening to my home." "As do we all," replied Xarn. "The Council has authorized me to offer Earth any assistance they require. Our mission is purely peaceful." Greg nodded but looked unconvinced. "I'm not sure if they'll even let us approach. From what I've heard, Earth has closed its borders completely. That is why our ship displays the universal peace symbols on its hull," explained Xarn. "And why we have reduced our shields to minimum power. We come as friends, not threats." The Harmony of Stars departed that day, carrying diplomats from 7 different species. As the only human aboard, Greg found himself constantly questioned about Earth's possible motives. But he had no answers to give. 5 days later, they reached the edge of the Sol system. The ship slowed as it approached the orbit of Pluto. "We are broadcasting peace messages on all frequencies," reported the communications officer, a squid-like being named Telex. No response yet. Greg stared at the view screen showing the distant sun that warmed his homeworld. Something feels wrong. Earth wouldn't just cut off contact without a serious reason. The ship proceeded slowly inward, passing Neptune and Uranus without incident. As they neared the orbit of Saturn, their sensors detected something unusual. "Energy readings ahead," reported the science officer. "Unlike anything in our database." The view screen showed Jupiter looming large. Around the massive gas giant, new structures orbited like a swarm of gleaming insects. Some were the size of small moons. Energy pulses flowed between them in patterns that made no logical sense. "What are those?" whispered Xarn. Greg shook his head. "Nothing I've ever seen before. Earth didn't have the capability to build structures that large when I left." As they watched, one of the structures changed shape, parts of it flowing like liquid metal. The energy readings spiked dramatically. "That's impossible," said the science officer. "Materials can't change molecular structure that quickly without massive energy input." Their sensors also detected strange ripples in spacetime around Mars. The red planet was surrounded by a faint shimmer, like heat rising from hot ground. "Incoming transmission," announced Telex suddenly. A flat voice that sounded neither male nor female spoke through the ship's speakers. "Diplomatic vessel, this is Earth Defense Automated Response System. Humanity requires solitude during this transition. Please respect our boundaries. Further approach is not advised." "This is Senior Diplomat Xarn of the Galactic Council," replied Xarn. "We come in peace, seeking dialogue. We have concerns about Earth's sudden silence." There was a long pause before the response came. "Your concerns are noted. Humanity is not in danger. We are undergoing a necessary evolutionary process. Communication will resume when appropriate." "What kind of evolutionary process?" asked Greg, stepping forward. "I am Greg Peterson, Earth citizen. I have a right to know what's happening to my home." Another long pause followed. Then, identity confirmed. "Dr. Peterson, your species stands at a crossroads. The path we have chosen cannot be explained, only experienced. Return when called." The transmission ended abruptly. The diplomatic team looked at each other in confusion. "What do we do now?" asked one of the junior diplomats. Xarn turned to Greg. "You know your people better than we do. Should we proceed anyway?" Greg stared at the view screen, at the strange structures that should not exist with Earth's known technology. Something incredible is happening back home. Something that changed everything in just a few weeks. He took a deep breath. But that message didn't sound threatening, just determined. As they debated their next move, the ship's sensors detected something new. Strange fluctuations in spacetime spreading throughout the entire Sol system, like ripples in a pond. "Whatever they're doing," whispered Greg, "it's affecting the fabric of reality itself." The sleek black ship moved silently through the outer edges of the Sol system. Unlike the diplomatic vessel with its bright markings and open broadcasts, this ship was designed to remain unseen. Its hull absorbed sensor scans rather than reflecting them. Agent Vexicor stood on the bridge, his 4 eyes constantly scanning the displays. As the Council's top intelligence operative, he had led dozens of covert missions into hostile territory. But this mission felt different. They weren't infiltrating an enemy power. They were spying on a council member. "Status report," he said quietly. His second-in-command, a small reptilian being named Triz, looked up from her console. "We are maintaining stealth protocols. No sign that Earth's defenses have detected us." Vexcor nodded. "And our guest?" "In the briefing room, as ordered." Vexcor made his way through the narrow corridors of the ship to where Karen Phillips waited. She was a human woman with short blonde hair and the hardened look of someone who had seen combat. Before Earth's silence, she had been living on Colony Epsilon, working as a security consultant. "Ms. Phillips," said Vexcor as he entered, "we are approaching Jupiter's orbit. Are you prepared?" Karen looked up from studying a star chart. "As ready as I'll ever be to spy on my own people." Her voice was calm, but held an edge of discomfort. "This is not spying," Vexcor insisted. "This is gathering information when normal channels have failed. The Council needs to understand what is happening to Earth." Karen gave a small, bitter laugh. "And if the roles were reversed? If humans sent a stealth ship to your homeworld when you went quiet?" Vexcor's ear flaps twitched, a sign of discomfort in his species. "A fair point. But remember, you agreed to help because you also want answers." "True enough," Karen admitted. "Let's get on with it." Their ship slipped past the massive orbital structures around Jupiter that had so puzzled the diplomatic mission. Using short bursts of power and staying in the shadow of Jupiter's moons, they avoided detection by the automated systems. As they moved closer to Earth's orbit, they encountered something unexpected. A field of energy that surrounded the entire planet like a bubble. "What is that?" asked Vexicor, staring at the view screen. Karen's eyes widened. "It looks like some kind of shield, but far more advanced than anything Earth had when I left. It's distorting the space around it." Their sensors struggled to penetrate the field. The readings made little sense. Matter and energy seemed to blur together at the boundary. "This technology," whispered Triz, "would require decades of research to develop. How did humans create this so quickly?" "We didn't," Karen said firmly. "At least, not the humans I know. This is," she searched for the right word, "impossible." Vexcor made a decision. "We will approach Earth's moon first. It appears to have less protection." The stealth ship carefully adjusted course. As they neared the moon, they saw it had been transformed. The gray, cratered surface was now covered with structures that glowed with soft blue light. Massive towers reached into space, connected by threads of energy. "The entire moon has been converted into some kind of installation," reported Triz. "Energy readings suggest immense computing power." Using the ship's most sensitive receivers, they managed to intercept fragments of communications from the lunar base. Most were encoded beyond their ability to decrypt, but a few phrases came through clearly. "Ascension Protocol Phase 3 complete. Consciousness transfer at 98% success rate. Prepare for final transcendence event." Karen's face paled as she listened. "What have they done?" she whispered. Before they could investigate further, alerts flashed across the bridge consoles. "We've been detected," Friz exclaimed. Vexcor moved quickly to the command station. "Prepare for emergency jump tow." But before he could finish, a message came through on all channels. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. Your presence has been noted. Your technology is inadequate for stealth in our current state of awareness." They tensed, expecting weapons to target them. Instead, the message continued. "We understand your curiosity. It is a trait we value. However, this is not the time for observation. Please depart. A moment later, 6 small craft appeared around their ship, seemingly out of nowhere. They were unlike any human design VexCore had seen before. Smooth, almost organic shapes that glowed with inner light. "They're not attacking," said Triz with surprise. "They're forming an escort pattern." The small ships guided them firmly but gently away from the moon, back toward the outer system. At no point did they make threats or aggressive moves. As they reached Saturn's orbit, the escort ships peeled away. A final message came through. "Return to the Council. Tell them our silence is not hostility. It is necessity. We will speak when we are ready." The intelligence team had no choice but to comply. As they set course back to Council space, Karen stared at the sensor readings they had managed to record. "I don't think those are the humans I knew anymore," she said quietly. "They've become something else entirely." The emergency session of the Galactic Council began in chaos. The great crystal dome echoed with the voices of dozens of species, all talking at once. Fear and anger mixed in the air like a toxic cloud. Grand Minister Elorix's skin flashed bright red repeatedly, calling for order. Slowly, the chamber quieted. "We have heard the reports from both the diplomatic mission and the intelligence team," she said, her voice amplified throughout the chamber. "Now we must decide how to respond to Earth's continued silence." Agent VexCore stood before the council, his normally confident posture slightly bent with exhaustion after his hasty return. "What we witnessed in the Sol system defies explanation," he said. "The humans have developed technology far beyond what should be possible in such a short time. Their entire moon has been transformed into a computing center of unimaginable power." Displays around the chamber showed images captured by his team. The strange shield around Earth, the transformed lunar surface, the escort ships with their organic design. General Crux of the Crax Imperium rose from his seat, his heavy armor clanking. "The conclusion is obvious. The humans have been deceiving us all along. They have hidden their true technological capabilities. This can only be preparation for war." Many council members roared in agreement, especially those from traditionally military species. Ambassador Nilex of the Illurian Mines, a species known for their scientific achievements, floated to the central platform. "We are jumping to conclusions based on fear," he said, his soft voice somehow cutting through the noise. "What if the humans are not preparing for war, but for evolution?" The communications we intercepted spoke of ascension and transcendence, not conquest. The chamber divided into arguing factions. Military powers demanded immediate containment or even preemptive strikes against Earth. Scientific representatives urged caution and further study. Economic leaders worried about the complete collapse of trade systems without human markets. As the debate raged, strange reports began arriving from across the galaxy. Sensors at distant outposts detected unusual quantum ripples emanating from the Sol system. These ripples were subtle but measurable, affecting subspace in ways never before recorded. Professor Yilt rushed into the chamber, interrupting the proceedings. "Council members, something unprecedented is occurring. The quantum ripples from Earth are changing the fabric of reality itself. This is not weapon testing. It is something far more fundamental." Before anyone could respond, the chamber doors opened again. A human man walked in, escorted by security. He was pale and looked nervous. "This is Alan Wright," explained the security chief. "He was Earth's trade representative on Centauri Station. He has just requested asylum from the Council." Alan stepped forward, his hands shaking slightly. "I left Earth before the silence began. I've been in deep space since then. But I've been receiving messages from former colleagues still on Earth. What they describe." He paused, struggling for words. "I no longer recognize my own species." The council chamber fell silent. "What do these messages say?" asked Elorix gently. "They speak of merging minds with machines, of uploading consciousness into networks, of reshaping human bodies at the molecular level." Alan's voice cracked. They say those who embrace the change experience wonders beyond imagination. But those who resist are. He trailed off. Are what? Prompted Vexcore. Left behind. Alan finished simply. I fear what my species has become. The silence that followed was broken by the economic advisor, who projected alarming statistics onto the main display. Galactic markets are in free fall. Without human trade, 17 systems face economic collapse within months. General Crux slammed his fist on his console. Enough debate. We must act now before the humans become too powerful to contain. After hours of heated discussion, the Council finally voted. They would establish a quarantine zone around the entire Sol system. No ships would be permitted to enter or leave. A fleet of warships would patrol the boundaries, not to attack, but to monitor and contain whatever was happening inside. As the session ended, sensors across Council space detected a new phenomenon. The quantum ripples from Earth were growing stronger, spreading farther. Professor Yilt studied the readings with growing concern. Whatever the humans are becoming, he whispered to Elorix, I do not think our fleets can contain it. Some transformations, once begun, cannot be stopped. Elorix's skin turned a deep worried purple. Then we must prepare for a new galactic order, one that includes whatever the humans are becoming. 3 months passed. The quarantine around Earth's solar system remained in place, with Council warships patrolling the boundary in rotating shifts. The galaxy had begun to adapt to life without human trade, though many economies still struggled. The Council met less frequently now, as the crisis became the new normal. Then, without warning, everything changed. A single ship appeared at the edge of Council space. It came from nowhere. The patrol ships detected no approach, no warp signature, no distortion of space. One moment there was nothing, and the next moment it was there. The ship looked unlike any vessel seen before. It had no visible engines or weapons. Its hull flowed like liquid metal, shimmering with colors that seemed to shift between blue and silver. It was both beautiful and unsettling. Within minutes, every communication system in Council space received the same message. We are ready to talk. The Council chamber filled quickly as word spread. Representatives who had been sleeping were woken. Those who had been traveling rushed back. Everyone wanted to be present for this moment. Grand Minister Elorix took her position at the center of the chamber. Bring the transmission to the main screen, she ordered, her skin shifting between blue anxiety and yellow curiosity. The screen activated, showing the interior of the strange ship. A human woman stood there, but she looked different from any human they had seen before. Her skin had a subtle glow. Her eyes held a depth that seemed impossible. She wore a simple white uniform with no markings or rank. I am Captain Laura Foster, she said. Her voice was clear and calm. I represent Earth and humanity in its new form. I request an audience with the full Galactic Council. Elorix stepped forward. This is Grand Minister Elorix. The Council is assembled. We have many questions about Earth's silence these past months. Laura nodded. And we are now ready to provide answers. With your permission, I will dock at Central Station and meet with you in person. General Crux objected immediately. This could be a trap. We should not allow this ship anywhere near our central government. Ambassador Nilex countered. If they wished us harm, why announce themselves? They could have attacked without warning. After a brief debate, the Council voted to allow the human ship to dock, but with heavy security measures in place. 3 hours later, Captain Laura Foster walked into the Council chamber. She was escorted by a dozen armed guards, though she showed no concern about them. She moved with a grace that seemed almost unnatural. Thank you for receiving me, she said as she reached the central platform. I understand you have been concerned about our silence. Concerned is an understatement, said Elorix. You cut off all communication without explanation. You abandoned your colonies. You transformed your solar system with impossible technology. The galaxy has been in turmoil. Laura nodded. For that disruption, we apologize. It was necessary. What humanity has undergone required complete isolation to prevent complications. What exactly has humanity undergone? Asked Ambassador Zax Trill. Laura looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various council members. A transformation. 3 months ago, by your time, humanity achieved a technological breakthrough that allowed us to restructure our consciousness. We have merged our biological and digital existence. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Professor Yilp leaned forward. You mean some form of artificial intelligence? No, Laura replied. Not artificial. Enhanced. We remain human, but our minds now exist in both our bodies and a vast digital network simultaneously. We are still individuals, but we are also connected in ways impossible to describe in simple language. To demonstrate, Laura raised her hand. A holographic display appeared above her palm, showing complex equations and models. This is a simple demonstration. I can access all human knowledge instantly. I can perform calculations that would take your computers years to solve. I can perceive reality at quantum levels. She closed her hand, and the display vanished. The silence was necessary because the transition was delicate. Any external influence could have disrupted the process. Any premature sharing of the technology could have been disastrous for less prepared species. Are you saying you protected us from yourselves? Asked Counselor Quarteth. In a way, Laura admitted. What we have become would be dangerous if misused or rushed into. We needed to stabilize our new existence before reestablishing contact. And now? Asked Elorix. Now we are ready to rejoin the galactic community, said Laura, but as something new. Something that can offer solutions to problems your species have struggled with for millennia. As if to prove her point, Laura casually waved her hand. The lights in the chamber dimmed, and a three-dimensional model of the galaxy appeared above her. Certain stars glowed red. These systems face energy crises within the next year, she said. We can provide technology to solve that immediately, if you wish. The council members stared in stunned silence. It was Ambassador Nilex who finally spoke. What do you want in return? Laura smiled, and it was both human and something more. Understanding, acceptance, and the chance to share our journey with those who choose to follow. 2 weeks after Captain Laura Foster's appearance at the council, a delegation of 20 representatives from various species approached Earth. Their ship, the Unity, carried the most senior members of the Galactic Council, including Grand Minister Elorix herself. Many had argued against this visit, calling it too dangerous. But curiosity had won out over caution. As they entered the Sol system, they saw with their own eyes what the probe and intelligence ships had reported. Jupiter and its moons were surrounded by massive structures that gleamed in the sunlight. Mars had been transformed, its red surface now dotted with blue-green lakes and patches of vegetation, and Earth itself was encased in a shimmering field that distorted the very space around it. It's beautiful, whispered Ambassador Nilex as they approached Earth. They've begun terraforming Mars in just a few months. Their ship was met by an escort of the flowing metal vessels. These ships moved in ways that defied normal physics, changing direction without apparent momentum. They guided the Unity into Earth's orbit and through the shimmering field that surrounded the planet. The delegates gasped as they passed through the field. For a brief moment, each felt a gentle touch on their minds, like a simple greeting. Then they were through, looking down at Earth. The planet appeared both familiar and strange. The continents and oceans remained, but cities now glowed with soft light. Massive towers reached toward space, connected by threads of energy. The whole planet pulsed with life and power. They landed at a new spaceport outside what had once been the city of New York. The air was cleaner than any of them remembered from previous visits to Earth. The temperature was perfect. Not too hot, not too cold. Even the gravity felt somehow more comfortable. A man waited for them as they disembarked. He appeared to be in his 40s, with kind eyes and a warm smile. He wore a simple white uniform similar to Laura Foster's. "Welcome to Earth," he said. "I am Nick Harrison, Chancellor of Humanity." Thank you for accepting our invitation. Eloric stepped forward. Thank you for finally opening your doors again. We have many questions. Nick nodded. And we are now ready to provide answers. Please, follow me. He led them to a building that seemed to be made of living crystal. Inside, the walls glowed with soft light that changed color as they walked. There were few furnishings, but what they saw appeared to merge technology and art in ways impossible to separate. In a large circular room, they sat in comfortable chairs that adjusted perfectly to each species' body type. A 3D display appeared in the center, showing Earth as it had been before the silence, then changing to show the planet now. What you are seeing, explained Nick, is the result of our ascension. We have created a civilization that exists in two realms simultaneously, the physical world and a digital dimension we call the mind space. He explained how humanity had discovered a way to transfer consciousness between biological bodies and digital networks. They could now exist as flesh and blood, or as pure information, switching between the two states at will. But why the silence? Asked Ambassador Zax Trill. Why cut off all communication? Cultural contamination, replied Nick. The early days of our transformation were chaotic. We made mistakes. People suffered. If we had maintained contact with the galaxy during that time, our instability might have spread. Or worse, partial information about our technology might have led other species to catastrophic failures in attempting to replicate it. So you isolated yourselves to protect us, said Elorix, her skin turning a thoughtful blue. Yes, Nick confirmed. Until we were certain our new society was stable, until we understood our new capabilities and their limits. Over the next several hours, the delegation toured facilities that demonstrated humanity's new technologies. They saw matter being reshaped by thought alone. They witnessed instant healing of injuries. They observed humans transferring their consciousness into different bodies or into machines. Some council members were fascinated. Others were clearly frightened. What does this mean for the galactic community? Asked General Crux, who had insisted on joining the delegation despite his previous objections. Nick responded calmly. It means we return to the galaxy change, but still human at our core. We still value art, love, discovery, and connection. We still wish to trade, to share knowledge, to maintain peace. He paused, looking around at the alien faces. It also means we can offer solutions to problems your civilizations have struggled with for centuries. Energy scarcity, disease, environmental damage, faster travel between stars. And in return, asked Elorix cautiously. Friendship, said Nick simply, and acceptance that humanity has evolved. We don't seek to rule or convert, but we are willing to help any species that wishes to follow a similar path of evolution, at their own pace when they are ready. As the delegation prepared to depart, several members requested to stay longer to learn more. A few even asked if they might experience the human transformation themselves. Back in the council chamber a week later, Elorix addressed the gathered representatives of the galaxy. We face a new reality, she said. Humanity has not become our enemy. They have become something else entirely. A post-physical species with capabilities we can barely comprehend. They offer help, not conquest. The Council voted to accept Earth back into the galactic community under a new classification, no longer simply human, but ascended human. They also drafted a new galactic charter, acknowledging that other species might eventually follow humanity's path. The silence had ended, but the conversation it started would continue for centuries to come.